Ogun State Governor Prince Dakwa Abiodun has reiterated that his developmental approach across all strata of the economy in the last 3 years was purposefully targeted at ensuring that everybody, especially people at the grassroots, enjoy good governance to the highest level. The governor made this known while receiving the participants of the 44th Senior Executive Course of the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies NIPSS, Kuru, Jos, Plateau State, led by the Director General of the Institute, Professor Ayo Omotayo, on a catechol at his office in Okemos, Abeokuta. Governor's Office correspondent Yusuf Ganiu reports.
The National Institute for Policy and Strategy Studies serves as a high-level center for reflection, research and dialogue for exchange of ideas on national and critical issues of the society, particularly as they relate to Nigeria and Africa. Participants of the Senior Executive Course 44 2022 of the Institute arrived at the Governor's Office in Abeokuta to intimate the current administration in Ogun State, headed by Prince Dakwa Abiodun, about their activities, especially inculcating the highest national ideals and achieving the best result for a rational deployment and utilization of resources. Ogun State Governor Prince Dakwa Abiodun, represented by his deputy, Engineer Noimosola Koyedele, further disclosed that the present administration has constructed 400 kilometers of road networks across the state, stressing that this was achieved through consultations with citizens and residents of the state in order to give everyone a sense of belonging by making sure that every central district enjoy dividends of democracy.
And this speaks to your theme, local governance. Strengthening local governance in Nigeria, challenges, options and opportunities. And this is what His Excellency has tried to do, to actually do a needs assessment at every stage. So instead of us sitting here in Okemoson and for whatever reason picking a road in Ijebu East or Ijebu North, we spoke to the people of Ijebu North. Which roads do you want? And in some instances, we were very surprised at the roads that the local communities selected. That we who are not from that particular local government and co, perhaps have driven through once or twice and thought, yeah, we should do this road. Then the community say, no, that is not our preference. Yet you can do it, but it shouldn't be number one. And we believe that that is the best way to deliver good governance to our people.
Leader of the delegation and Director General of the Institute, Professor Ayo Omotayo, appreciated the governor for his developmental approach, adding that the study tour to the Gateway State will no doubt entrench the positive effect on governance, not only to Nigeria, but Africa in general.
When we realize that local governance goes beyond local government, the local government is just one of the units that govern the people from the grassroots level. So in examining this thing, we have to take local government, which of course is a recognized structure, into cognizance. We have to take the fact that we have traditional rulers into cognizance.
The delegation is expected to move around the state to conduct a thorough research for the next 6 days. Yusuf Ganiyu, OGTV News.
The long-abandoned 26-kilometer Ilaro-Owode-Yewa Road, which was among other several road projects inherited by the Prince Dakwa Abiodun-led government in Ogun State, will be completed this year. The State Commissioner for Works and Infrastructure, Engineer Akinsoya, dropped this hint while speaking with our reporter in Ilaro. Benga Adekoya has the specific period of completion and more on the road in this package.
Ilaro-Owode Road is one of the major roads in Ogun West Central District embarked upon by the Prince Dakwa Abiodun-led government in the state. Although the road has been in a deplorable state over the years and was inherited from the past administration, but the lamentations of the people of Yewa, transport workers and other road users are now a thing of the past, despite not being completed.
Tẹ́lẹ̀ ọlọ́gbọ̀ràn kan ni ṣùgbọ́n bá ṣe ń wo iṣẹ́ tó ń bá lọ sìn kí ló dàbẹ̀ pé ọlọ́gbọ̀ràn méjì lọ́tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀.
Pastor Stephen Anibe, a businessman who has been plying the road for over 10 years, while sharing his experience, said nothing is more traumatic than traveling from Owode to Ilaro, especially during the rainy season.
It was thoroughly bad before, but from where they commenced the work down to Ilaro now is easy going. easy to make your business okay, easy access to car, and the driving very smooth. So I'm very much happy, and I believe many who pass through this road are still happy with the government with what they are doing on the construction.
So what has been your challenge before getting to Ilaro before now?
Before, it has been so tough as if when rain falls. It won't be easy going to Ilaro. At times, we have to wait until sun arises so that the road will be a little bit dry. But now, after this construction, even if in a middle or if rain is still falling, we can still penetrate and go. So we are happy.
The road has now been asphalted to a certain percentage from Ilaro to Iweke, Ilobi-Erija to Iwoye, with stone base being laid on the Owode-Yewa end of the road waiting to be asphalted.
If you go to Iwoye, all the other ways, asphalt is already completed. Within more than about 5 kilometers is already done in the Owode side. More than 4 kilometers is already done on this side. So just drive down towards Iwoye or Iweke, you see a lot of activities going on. So that is ongoing.
For Engineer Abeokuta, the State Commissioner for Works and Infrastructure, barring any unforeseen circumstances, the road will be delivered by September 2022.
The work commences on both ends of the road. So the Owode side is ongoing, the Ilaro side is ongoing also. We are pushing to get this road done by September. It's a vital key road in the Yewa land. So, and it's a priority for the state that it needs to be done as quickly as possible. So that's why you see a lot of activities between here and Owode. There are so many gangs working along, so many construction gangs working along the way.
Oli Iderafiu, an indigene of Iwoye, led other people of Iwoye to appreciate the effort of Prince Dapo Abiodun in Ogun State in the area of infrastructure, saying the governor has demonstrated the real meaning of democracy by completing almost all inherited projects from the past administration.
The current administration in Ogun State, under the leadership of Prince Dapo Abiodun, is leaving no stone unturned to strengthen the local economy through efficient transport development, thereby creating jobs. The State Commissioner for Transportation, Engineer Gbenga Dairu, dropped the hint while featuring on OGTV program New Dawn to commemorate the 3rd anniversary of Prince Dapo Abiodun-led government in the state.
Extending that project from Abuja back to Asafan. The one along the way, which I mentioned earlier, is one of them. The stations we are developing at Agbado, at Joko, at Kadra Airport is another that speaks to that initiative. We're working with the TRES within Ogun State, and last month are working along the border areas between Lagos and Ogun to ensure there is consistency in enforcement of and compliance with traffic rules and regulations.
He expressed optimism that the dream of mass transit scheme of the current administration in Ogun State is gradually becoming a reality, as the state recently took delivery of new buses equipped with modern technological capacities for the pilot scheme.
Launch of the Transport Master Plan in April, last month, and now we have in Abeokuta, for the very first time, formal operations of bus services in the pilot scheme that we're operating between Itaoshi and Adata. We are in partnership with Lagos State to extend the railway project into Ogun State. We're developing stations at Agbado, at Ijoko, and at Kagala.
He promised more goodies and road network of international standards for the people of the state in the coming year. As political parties prepare for the conduct of primaries, INEC and International Republican Institute are appealing for gender equality. They made the appeal during the meeting with women in politics and female presidential aspirants for the 2023 elections in Abuja.
INEC is unrelenting in its commitment to electoral inclusion of the marginalized groups, women inclusive. The establishment of the Gender and Inclusive Department in March 2021 by the Commission represents a bold statement of commitment.
The Commission will not relent on engaging with critical stakeholders at various levels to secure support for increased women participation in the electoral process.
We know the cultural issues, the man-made issues, the selfishness of human nature, which we know that you are battling with. And that is why some of us who are the helms of affairs of political parties have taken it upon ourselves to ensure that we situate women at the center of our activities.
It's money, money, money. So my only concern that the women who are coming out may not have that bullying vehicle full of money. But I know that the men, the organizations, national and international, may come to the aid of women.
President Muhammadu Buhari and the Attorney General of the Federation, Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, have filed a suit at the Supreme Court seeking an interpretation of Section 84(12) of the Electoral Amendment Act 2022. In the suit filed on the 29th of April, the President and the AGF, while the plaintiffs, listed the National Assembly as the sole defendant. They are seeking an order of the Apex Court to strike out the section of the Electoral Act saying it is inconsistent with the nation's constitution. President Buhari and Malami also contended that the constitution already provides qualification and disqualification for the offices of the President and Vice President, Governor and Deputy Governor, Senate and House of Representatives, House of Assembly, Ministers, Commissioners, and Special Advisors. They urged the court to make a declaration that the joint and combined reading of sections 65, 66, 106, 107, 131, 137, 147, 151, 177, 182, 192, and 196 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, and as amended, the provision of Section 84(12) of the Electoral Act 2022, which also ignores Section 84(3) of the same Act, is an additional qualifying and/or disqualifying factors for the National Assembly, House of Assembly, gubernatorial, and presidential elections as enshrined in the said Constitution. Hence, unconstitutional, unlawful, null and void. In the same vein, the National Assembly has asked the Supreme Court to strike out the suit instituted by President Muhammadu Buhari, the National Assembly, in its counter affidavit filed by its lawyer, Kayode Ajulo, and said the Supreme Court cannot be invoked to amend the provision of any law validity made by lawmakers in the exercise of their legislative powers as granted by the Constitution. Meanwhile, a Federal High Court in Abuja has fixed May 24 for a definite hearing on a suit instituted against President Muhammadu Buhari by the People's Democratic Party, PDP, on the controversial Sections 84, 11, and 12 of the Electoral Act 2022. Justice Inyang fixed the new date on Monday to enable President Buhari and the PDP address him on the effect of the Court of Appeal judgment in Abuja, which declared the contentious Section 84(12) as unconstitutional, null and void. The judge raised the issue on the ground that the PDP's suit bothered on the same section of the law in which a higher court had made the pronouncement that will bind a lower court. A senior advocate of Nigeria, Joseph Daudu, in response, made spirited attempt to draw a distinction between the two matters and why the judge should proceed to hear the PDP's suit. However, Oladipupo Okeshaye, SAN, disagreed with the PDP lawyer, insisting that there was no difference between the Umuahia suit and that of the PDP because the two were on the same Section 84(12) of the Electoral Act. Following the disagreement, the judge held that all parties in the matter shall address him on May 24 on whether to abide by the Court of Appeal's decision or proceed with the one before him. Still to come, Kogi State Polytechnic expels 196 students over poor academic performance. Do join us for details of this and more. A comprehensive news package for the day on OGTV. Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board, JAMB, has given reasons why some results of the 2022 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination may not be released. Head Public Affairs and Protocol in JAMB, Dr. Fabian Benjamin, while speaking with newsmen, listed reasons that could lead to a candidate's result being withheld. Among the reasons stated by Benjamin are malpractice, misconduct, breach of procedural processes, and incomplete review of center. He also urged candidates to check their results properly. About 1.4 million candidates have so far taken the examination across the nation, with some examination towns and centers completing their own allotted number of candidates for the year, while the results of sessions already taken will be released to respective candidates. The management of the Kogi State Polytechnic, Lokoja, has expelled 196 students from the institution for poor academic performance. This was contained in a statement issued in Lokoja by the head of the Public Relations Unit of the Polytechnic, Huredo Omale. Omale said the rector of the Polytechnic, Dr. Salis Usman, announced the expulsion of the students during an emergency meeting of the academic board of the institution on the 12th of May. According to Usman, the expulsion of the 196 students was ratified on Friday, March 25, 2022, and he said the Polytechnic management was committed to making the teaching and learning environment conducive for both the staff and students. According to him, students' good academic performance is a direct result of the dedication and hard work achieved under a conducive learning atmosphere which the institution has put in place. Usman therefore urged students to be diligent in their studies and graduate as planned. Adoption of best agricultural practices, insectivization of cocoa farming and farmers by government, and implementation of the strategic policies have been identified as the necessary measures to revitalize the cocoa farming and production sector in the country. President of Cocoa Farmers Association of Nigeria, Comrade Adeola Adegoke, made this known while flagging off the free distribution of the Cocoa Gap Handbook to smallholder farmers in Ogun State, held in Ijebu-Ode. Matthew Shomi completes the report.
Towards redefining cocoa farming and production in Ogun State, smallholder farmers being equipped with free good agricultural practice handbook. President of Cocoa Farmers Association of Nigeria, Comrade Adeola Adegoke, said the launching of the handbook across the entire cocoa producing states, which Ogun State happens to be among, will mark a pathway to sustainable cocoa production and good agronomic practice in the country.
The book launch is a game changer when we come to how do we do a turnaround on how to move forward the cocoa production sector in Ogun State. We have looked into some of the challenges in the sector before we actually came up with this gap book.
Executive Director, Cocoa Research Institute of Nigeria, Adebola Patrick, expressed the belief that this would help in improving the quality of cocoa being produced in the country for international acceptability.
By putting this book together, we are trying to make sure that cocoa farmers in Nigeria are doing the right thing, from planting to harvesting to processing to storage to exportation.
Presenting the book, Mr. James Oyeshola said the handbook will serve as a guide and provide the necessary instructions on the do's and don'ts of cocoa farming.
The cocoa is one of the most vulnerable tree crops to climate change, and with this latest book shows how the farmers can adapt and mitigate the effect of climate change. That's one of the basic aims of this book, to tell them how to produce and how to process.
There were keynote addresses from the representatives of Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, State Ministry of Agriculture, and other facilitators. Matthew Shomi, OGTV News.
Despite its efforts to leverage the benefits of tax exemption and concessions, the incentive has rather led to huge revenue loss for Nigeria, the federal government has said. The government said that although it was committed to reducing tax expenditure, the nation's current revenue to gross domestic product ratio of about 7% was poor and unsatisfactory. Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, represented by the Director of Technical Services in the Ministry, Fatima Hayatu, said this in Abuja during a workshop on tax expenditure organized by the Economic Community of West African States under the context of the implementation of support program for tax transition in West Africa. The PATF aimed to improve the management of domestic taxation and ensure better coordination of taxation in the ECOWAS and West African Economic and Monetary Union regions. The minister observed that Nigeria's low revenue generation capabilities had been an enduring challenge to past and present governments. She said that although Nigeria was celebrated as the country in Africa with the largest economy, translating the wealth into revenue generation had remained a serious issue. According to her, Nigeria is faced with challenges in mobilizing domestic funds necessary for human capital development and infrastructure that are both drivers of a stable economic growth and all activities. Activities marking the 33rd coronation anniversary of Oba Dr. Adedapo Adewale Tejushu, the Oshile of Okionegba, will come up between 16th and 21st May 2022 with conferment of chieftaincy titles on distinguished sons and daughters of the land. This was disclosed at a press briefing by the Ekeri of Okionegba, Chief Mofidin Kazim, with Oba Dr. Adedapo Adewale Tejushu in attendance. Odwayo Uriyeni was present at the press briefing.
The 33rd coronation anniversary of His Royal Highness Oba Adedapo Adewale Tejushu, Oshile Okionegba, kicked off with a press briefing at his residence at Ibara Housing Estate, Abeokuta. The briefing attracted not just the members of the press, but a number of royal fathers and chiefs. The program was to launch the 33rd anniversary of His Royal Highness ascension to the throne of his ancestors. Preparatory to the coronation anniversary, Chief Muhyiddin Kazim, Ekeri of Okionegba, who briefed the press, rolled out the activities of the anniversary.
May 20, by 6:30 a.m., we are going to have the beginning of the activities for the day with the beating of the bedu drums and other traditional activities. The Christian service, according to the time, is 11 a.m. on Friday. After the Christian service, we are going to have the Muslim service too. Immediately after the Muslim service, this takes turn. We are going to have the traditionalist. Everything we are saying shall happen at the Oshiles Palace at Agoko.
During the question and answer section, Oba Tejushu responded to questions from members of the press.
Because the man who came to die for you and I jettisoned longevity, jettisoned long life, and embraced eternal life.
A few chiefs who would be crowned on the coronation anniversary day were mentioned, and some of them commended His Royal Highness for being a father to all. The one-week program is enriched with various activities, including a 33-hour marathon praises, visiting the motherless homes, and presentation of scholarships to indigent students. Odwayo Uriyeni, OGTV News.
Thousands of Nigerians have benefited from the services of Sweet Estate Unique Properties in the last 5 years. To this end, more people are now basking in the euphoria of the company for prompt delivery of quality services. A number of clients who joined the celebration have been prompting the company to do more in the coming years. Fora Adeso reports.
As a mustard seed, Sweet Estate Unique Properties is growing in leaps and bounds.
As you know, it's a competitive world. We have a lot of people that are into real estate, but so far so good today. Sweet Estate happens to be the best real estate company in Ogun State.
With very first one land, and today we have over almost 50 sites.
A roadshow to commemorate the 5th anniversary of the company was spotted at the major street of Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, but then that may not be all for the celebration.
We'll be having free medicals for aged from age 60 and above. On Friday, we'll be having a customers party in the office. On Saturday, there will be quiz competitions for junior secondary school students and senior secondary school students. Then on Sunday, we'll be rounding it up with Thanksgiving service at African Church, Orioke. Then the reception will be at Amazing Grace Event Center.
According to the management of the company, there is room for all Nigerians, irrespective of their status, to own properties in their choice location.
Sweet Estate Unique Properties have over 8,000 customers, managing 8,000 customers. Large number of them did not just walk in and pay once. You know, people have to pay installments like that because we created the strategy paying bit by bit if you cannot pay once.
Ms. Angela Udofia says the company owes its growth to God, and Mr. Yemi Bismarck agrees and adds that Nigerians too have solidly stood with the company with their funds and prayers.
We have different packages for our customers, both existing customers and new customers that want to subscribe as well.
We're not just focusing on people who are rich, who can afford land. Where then, it is only people who have money, who are rich, that can afford land, that buys land. Today, we're also saying that the Okada riders, everybody, we accommodate everybody.
5 years to many is a milestone in a terrain where lots of water often pass through the bridge. Adefowura Adesonwo, OGTV News.
Christians have been admonished to seek encounters with God, as this is the only way to experience miracles and to have testimonies. This was the charge given by the diocesan bishop, Right Reverend Samuel Ogundeji, during the Thanksgiving and closing service of the 3rd session of the 5th Synod of the Diocese of Egba West Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion, held at the Holy Trinity Anglican Church, Agoika, Abeokuta. Runke Adeyemi reports.
The 2022 Synod, which began on Thursday, 11th of May, and organized by the Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion, Diocese of Egba West, Bagura 2022, had its climax with a closing and Thanksgiving service. The church auditorium of the host, Holy Trinity Church, Bagura, was filled to the brim with bishops, clergymen, synod delegates, and the church congregation who all gathered for the Thanksgiving. The theme, I have seen the Lord, was specially a wake-up call to the society to seek the Lord so as to receive transformation. In a sermon, the guest preacher, Right Reverend Babatunde Ogunbanwo, reiterated that an encounter with God is a call to the mission of God by spreading His gospel. The diocesan bishop and the chief host, Synod 2022, Right Reverend Samuel Ogundeji, emphasized the need for citizens to seek the Lord at all times.
When Mary Magdalene, that we are using, who spoke the word, said, I've seen the Lord. Once she saw the Lord, her life changed and she became an instrument in the hands of God to propagate the gospel, the good news. So my charge to the church is that everybody must be vanguard for the goodness and mercy of God.
Lovers of gospel in the diocese were decorated for their contributions to the Church of God and humanity. Recipients described the award as an incentive to do more.
Of course, I will have to increase my activities. I have to be more and doing, be up and doing. I have to show the light to the younger ones.
A communique issued at the end of the synod aptly noted the achievement and shortcomings of the nation and demand high sense of responsibility from all. Each of the archdeaconry in the Diocese of Egba West danced to the altar in thanksgiving to God. Aderonke Adeyemi, OGTV News.
Effective communication and peaceful coexistence can only be achieved if there is better understanding among all sects. This was the submission of speakers at the inauguration of the Adventist African Traditionalist Relation by the Executive Committee of the West African Division, Seventh-day Adventist Church. Elizabeth Esson was at the Medical Science College Auditorium, Babcock University, Ilishan-Remo State, venue of the ceremony. Here is her report.
Of its kind in Africa, the gathering of a Christian organization and traditionalists, building bridges for the greater good of the nation, regardless of their doctrines and beliefs. This came to fore at the inauguration of Adventist African Traditionalist Relations Center to inspire and equip Seventh-day Adventists to establish new groups of disciples among African traditionalists in West Central African Division.
The Adventist African Traditionalist Relations Center that we are here to inaugurate is a definition of one of our missions as a religious organization, to cater for the witnessing relationship between the Adventist Church and our friends, our brothers and sisters, the adherents of African traditional religion.
Speakers at the ceremony spoke extensively on global mission and interfaith relation, Adventist African Traditionalist Relation, the common grounds, and Adventist African Traditionalist Relation are divinely approved assignments.
In synergy with other global mission units, including the African Traditionalist, Adventist African Traditionalist Relations Center that is being inaugurated today, will reach out to different people groups in WAD.
It will help us to avoid hasty conclusion on what we do not know, as well as help us to see the perspective of the other person.
This, we hope, shall be integrated into other existing centers in different parts of the world for the purpose of helping Adventists to know how to build bridges of understanding and friendship with the adherents of African traditional religion.
In his inauguration address, Director, Office of Adventist Mission, GC and SDA Church, Dr. Gary Cruz, confirmed that the results of the collaboration between the Seventh-day Adventists and the African traditionalists will be grounded on the knowledge of God, the creator of the universe.
What is their worldview? What can we learn from them? What can they learn from us? It's a wonderful opportunity for us to, because before we can communicate, we need to understand each other.
The Adventist African Traditionalist Relations Center was thereafter commissioned in the Babcock University community in Ilishan-Remo. The center, amongst all, will engage in demographic studies and related researches to help the church understand a religious syncretism and draw allegiance. Elizabeth Esson, OGTV News.
3 out of the 8 witnesses lined up for the alleged killers of Sophia Tokewu, a 20-year-old girl killed along Okiaregba in Abeokuta, were in court on Monday, marking the beginning of the case of the 3 boys alleged to have killed Sophiat. The case holding before Honorable Justice Ogufora at the Ogun State High Court, Kobakwe area of Abeokuta, was later adjourned till the 6th of June 2022. Bumi Adigun has more on the court proceedings.
Finally, the case of the alleged killers of a 20-year-old Sophiat Okewu along Okiaregba in Abeokuta has begun, as 3 witnesses out of 8 put forward by the Solicitor General of the Ministry of Justice in Ogun State, Bamidele Adebayo, in court.
We have called 3 witnesses
out of the 8 witnesses listed on the indictment paper, and by the grace of God, when we meet the next date of adjournment, we will surely go ahead with the other witnesses. At least we have supplied them everything they needed, and that's why we commenced the case this morning.
How soon do you think this?
Well, that is for the judge to decide. It is not in my power to say a particular period, but I know we are moving on a very good lane. Definitely, we are in court, and the court is meant for justice. I believe justice will be done for all the concerned parties.
The 3 suspects, Mustakim Balogun, Soliu Majekodumi, and Abdugafar Lukman, were present in court before Justice O. Ogunfowora. Dr. Wumi Bewaji, who stood in for Mustakim Balogun and Soliu Majekodumi, said no matter the level of their offense, they also deserved fair hearing, but requested for some documents to be made available for justice to be served accordingly and appropriately.
You want a statement of witnesses. It's essential. We need the autopsy report, the medical report, all of that, which we are also going to be able to look at. Asymmetric trial is no longer the order of the day, even in civil proceedings. So I believe the prosecution has nothing to hide. In this kind of matter, what is critical is for the defendants to have a fair hearing.
On their 2-count charges of felony with murder, thereby committing an offense contrary to Section 324 of the Criminal Code Laws of Ogun State of Nigeria, 2006, and that they unlawfully killed one Sofiat Okewo, aged 20 years, by cutting her head, thereby committed an offense contrary to Section 316 and punishable under Section 319 of the Criminal Code Laws of Ogun State 2006. The case has again been adjourned till 6th of June 2022. Bumi Adigun, OGTV News.
Let's now join Bukola Agbakizu for some business news.
Thanks so much, Wale. This is the business segment of the news. The National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, said inflation rate rose to 16.82% in April 2022, representing a 0.90% rise when compared to 15.92% recorded in March 2022. The Bureau also said that the Composite Food Index rose year-on-year by 1.17 basis points to 18.37% in April 2022 from 17.20% in March 2022. In its Consumer Price Index released today, the Bureau said the rise in food index was due to increases in prices of bread and cereals, food products, potatoes, yam and other tubers, wine, fish, meat and oils. Following the drive to raise local funds to finance the 6.26 trillion naira 2022 budget deficit, the federal government has borrowed a total of 984.28 billion naira through FGN bonds between January and April 2022. FGN bond auction results released by the Debt Management Office, DMO, as revealed. FGN bonds are debt securities and liabilities of the federal government of Nigeria, FGN, issued by the debt office on behalf of the federal government. The FGN has an obligation to pay the bondholder the principal and agreed interest as and when due. The 2022 budget has a deficit of 6.26 trillion naira, forcing the federal government to issue new borrowings of 5.012 trillion naira with the added new debt to the debt stock. It is expected that the country's total debt stock going is to hit 45.86 trillion naira by December 2022. The Nigerian Port Authority, NPA, is threatening to revoke the concession agreement of 5 terminal operators over decaying infrastructure. It said all payers at the nation's seaports had been placed under surveillance for auction to the obligations captured in the port concession agreement. The federal government from 2005 to 2006 entered into a concession pact for several bulk, break bulk, and container terminals, partly on a competitive basis, that is 13 terminals, and partly through negotiation, that is 12 terminals. Addressing reporters in Lagos, NPA's Managing Director, Mohammed Abeokuta, said the affected terminal operators had been granted 6-month grace to fulfill all conditions for renewal. The airline operators of Nigeria have announced plans to disrupt scheduled flight operations over scarcity of aviation fuel. The announcement was contained in a statement titled Public Notice Disruptions in Flight Operations. In the statement signed by AON spokesperson Professor Obiora, the operators lamented that aviation fuel scarcity would lead to flight rescheduling and cancellations. The scarcity is impacting negatively on the seamless conduct of air transport operations and will lead to flight rescheduling and or cancellations. And lastly, from my end, a federal high court in Abuja has ordered the Accountant General of the Federation to immediately halt the distribution of more than 1 trillion naira due to oil-producing states, pending the determination of the suit before it. The trial judge in the matter, Justice A.R. Mohammed, in an interim injunction, held that the distribution of the derivation funds without the indices of the Revenue, Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, RNAFS, was injurious to the applicant, which is the Imo State government. The Imo State Attorney General had, in a suit against RNAFC and others, challenged the distribution of the said funds without unambiguous indices by RNAFC as provided in Nigeria's constitution. In a submission before the court, counsel to Imo State government, Olushola Oke, argued on the need to protect his clients pending the determination of the suit. And that was business news. Thanks so much for watching. Back to Wale for the rest of the bulletin.